5 great couples from ancient Egypt. The people of ancient Egypt experienced romance, with all its twists and turns, just as we do today. Discover the 5 great love stories from the Nile Tierra. The love song cited in the video was not written today. More than 3,000 years ago, during the period of the new empire of ancient Egypt, my heart reveals itself instantly. In memory of your love, don't let me walk like a persona. He left his refuge. My health cure is your visit. She looks great, so I'm fine. She opened her eyes, then my body is young. She says, that's why I'm strong. When I hug her, she banished the evil from me. The song, extracted from the papyrus collection of the Chester Beatty Library, shows that ancient Egyptians loved and expressed their love with the same emotions as modern people. This video will delve into the broad history of ancient Egypt to discover 5 of the best love stories that have resisted the test of time, from the courtly love of kings and reigns to the magical love stories that are found in Egyptian mythology. Number 1. The love that leaves hues in ancient Egypt, Ramses the Great and Nefertari. Perhaps one of the most enduring love stories of ancient Egypt is the marriage between Ramses II or Ramses the Great, 1279 to 1213 BC, and his reign of Nefertari, also known as Nefertari Meretmut. Nefertari means Hermosa companion, and Meretmut means beloved of the divine Mother Mut. We are unaware of the origins of Nefertari and her relationship with Ramses the Great. However, we know that, like other kings of Egypt, Ramses the Great had a large harem of wives, but only received the title of main queen. Ramses the Great was the eye of these great queens during his reign, but the Nefertari queen was the first and left the most significant impression on the king. Ramses and Nefertari married in 1312 BC. See why, shortly afterwards, the new reign gave the light to the first of one's herederos. We know little about the origins of Nefertari and her time as a queen, but what we only know is that after her death, Ramses dedicated great resources, care and attention so that the memory of his first wife was never forgotten. The affection of Ramses the Great for his first main queen can be seen painted on the walls of his luxurious tomb in the Valle de las Reinas. The decorations of the tomb emphasize the personality and intellect of Nefertari, with the queen represented charlando with the officials and playing the Senate game. Her facial paintings have been shining for thousands of years, and it is clear that the artist paid special attention to her features to accentuate her beauty. Scholars consider that these decorations are some of the best preserved and most artistic of any ancient Egyptian site that has been found. Nefertari's tomb shows us the deep respect and reverence that Ramses the Great had for his first wife. In addition to her luxurious tomb, Ramses the Great ordered the construction of temples to honor Nefertari and Abu Simbel. These colossal temples were built with the same love as his tomb and are designed to haunt any visitor. Groups of statues flank the exterior of the temple, with a large entrance between them. The ruling figures represent Ramses the Great and his reign, one beside the other. What makes the Temple of Nefertari so unique is that it remains one of the few examples of Egyptian architecture where the statues of the king and the queen are of the same size. In other temples, the statue of the queen was never taller than that of his king. This shows that Ramses the Great thought so much of his wife that he ordered that her statue was of the same importance and height as her. Number 2. Eternal Love, Tutankhamun and Ankhesenamun. Tutankhamun is perhaps the most famous king of Egypt and is best known for his intact tomb discovered in 1922 by an excavation team led by Howard Carter. Tutankhamun, 1336 to 1327 BC, worked to restore the stability of his kingdom during his brief reign, after his predecessor Akhenaten had abandoned the region amidst the unrest. He reigned with his wife Ankhesenamun, 1350 BC, and the representations of his tomb together are perhaps the most surprising representations of romantic love in ancient Egypt. Ankhesenamun always represents herself as her husband, although this was not unusual for the time. What makes these representations so unique is their mutual devotion through their surroundings, gestures with their hands and facial expressions. In the art that fills the tomb of the young king, we can feel the strength of their bond. She represents the queen by presenting flowers to her husband and accompanying him on a hunting expedition. Tutankhamun died just when he entered adulthood, and mentions of his wife Ankhesenamun disappeared from history shortly afterwards. Despite this, the tomb decorations helped a lot to decide how strong their relationship was. Number 3. Tragic love in Egyptian mythology. Isis and Osiris. The mythology of ancient Egypt is full of fantastic stories, one of which is considered the first tragic love story in history, the story of the goddess Isis and her brother Osiris. Isis and Osiris were children of the gods of the earth Geb and of the gods of the net. Despite being a brother and sister, they married and ruled ancient Egypt as king and queen. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris and his brother Seth were fierce rivals. There are many different reports about the origins of this rivalry. Some say that Osiris fought against Seth and that he had an adventure with Seth's wife, Nephthys. Regardless of the cause of this enemy, Seth enacted his revenge against Osiris by killing and mutilating his body, dividing it into 42 pieces that he scattered throughout the kingdom of Egypt. Seth Luego became king. Isis was anguished by the death of her husband, and her pain was compounded by the knowledge that she had not yet given him an heir to continue with her mythological family line. Then Isis and her sister Nephthys united forces and sought in the kingdom of Egypt the 42 parts of Osiris. After a long search, Isis found all the pieces and took them to the Egyptian dead deities Anubis and Thoth, where they fused again. The complete body of Osiris was now wrapped like a traditional mother, and Isis conceived an heir with the corpse of Osiris. As a result of this unlikely union, a son was born, Horus, who avenged the death of his priest. So that the next time you feel that your love life is going through a crack, think about Isis and Osiris, which means you have to face death and dismemberment to be able to be together. Number 4. Everyday Love. Maritites and Kahai. In 2012, in the Saqqara Cement Cemetery, a team of archaeologists discovered a tomb that dates back more than 4 millennia to the ancient kingdom of Egypt. The tomb contained the remains of a married couple and their children. If it can seem like a very common Halloween, it means that the tomb is a unique example of the love of ancient Egypt and the intricate sculptures that decorate the tomb. After the tomb was excavated and studied completely, it was discovered that it was the resting place of a singer from the entourage of the pharaoh called Kahai, and his wife, a meritorious priestess. As a result of its royal connections, the tomb was more decorated than others found in Saqqara. The unique heights on the walls of the tomb represent people singing and playing music. Unusually, a scene shows the couple looking at the eyes and Maritites placing a hand affectionately on the shoulder of her husband. I'm talking about the love that Maritites and Kahai have and want to bring to Morala. Tales representations of love and affection between a couple are rare in the tombs of ancient Egypt, and the love of Maritites and Kahai is one of the few examples discovered in the period of the ancient empire. Number 5. Tough love in ancient Egypt. Akhenaton and Nefertiti. One of the most controversial and influential pharaohs who ruled ancient Egypt was Akhenaton. He made considerable changes in the way in which the Egyptians worshipped their gods during his reign and was a pioneer in an early monotheistic religion that worshipped the Aten sun. Unfortunately, his actions caused a great revolution in the Nile Tierra and made him a martyr in the eyes of his descendants. However, he still remembers his religious reforms and his marriage to what historians consider one of the most beautiful women who ever existed, Nefertiti. The events of the marriage between Nefertiti and Akhenaton are still debated by historians. We know that during her marriage Nefertiti gave birth to 6 daughters of Akhenaton. However, her story became clouded in the shadow of her story after the birth of her children. What we only know is that, far from ancient Egypt, archaeologists discovered innumerable sculptures and inscriptions that represent scenes of Nefertiti and her husband performing everyday family tasks, such as preparing food, dancing, and singing. Egyptologists consider that these representations are very numerous and indicative of a stronger romantic bond than that of Ramses the Great and Nefertari. However, Nefertiti's tomb has not yet been discovered. This lack of real importance has led some historians to theorize that she could have died young or possibly lost her king's favor. Despite her fate, Nefertiti was a clear influence during Akhenaten's reign. From her impressive bust and other artifacts discovered, we know that she was a woman of impressive beauty and power that Akhenaten held in high esteem. So, here are some of the best love stories from ancient Egypt. Maybe you can recognize her relationship in the devotion shown between Ramses II and Nefertari, or in the tragic mythological romance of Isis and Osiris. If you have your own love story, remember that love and respect for your partner must be a priority. You never know how your actions will affect you in the world. So, what did today's video look like to you? Do you know any of these very romantic Egyptian couples? What impressed you the most? We want to know your opinion on this subject, as we would love to hear from you and respond to your comments below. If you like this video and haven't subscribed to our channel, click on the button so you don't miss any of the intriguing videos we publish each week. And if you want to enjoy and learn a little more, don't hesitate to click on one of these videos that we propose. Until the next video.